Hi, this is Bill Hartzer, U.S. Brand Ambassador for OnCrawl. The most common type of migration is when you move your website from HTTP to HTTPS. Those are two different versions of your website and your URLs. And this is actually pretty common now, that people do have issues with moving their websites from HTTP to HTTPS. And since HTTPS is a search engine ranking factor, it is important actually to do this type of migration properly. So let's see. Let's talk first a little bit about the steps. Okay, basically there's several different steps that you need to go through. And first, you want to purchase an SSL certificate and get that installed on your website. Many web hosts actually will sell you the SSL certificate, and they'll do the installation for you. It is fairly technical. But once it's installed, you want to actually crawl the website and make sure all of your internal references to HTTP on the website have actually been moved over to HTTPS. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to look for any time where you have a JavaScript file or a CSS file or any images, as well as internal links. You want to make sure those are actually referenced on your site as HTTPS files and not actually HTTP. So basically, if you look at the source code, you're actually going to find that wherever you have a case where you have a link, for example, the link may be an absolute URL, meaning that it actually has http://www.yourdomain.com/page or /about, for example, for your about page. You want to make sure that full URL in the source code is referencing HTTPS and not HTTP. So here are the steps, basically. What I want to do is first update all the internal links on the site. The links are important because when you click on a link, you want to make sure that it goes to the HTTPS version rather than the HTTP version. Double check your CMS settings, like your WordPress settings. And basically, we're gonna, like I said, you want to update the image references and the script references and everything else that has HTTP in it. That you want to make sure those have moved over and are now referencing HTTPS. This also includes canonical tags or any other tags as well. Typically, images, links, CSS files, JavaScript files, or any other files that you're referencing. What I want to do is I want to first crawl the website with something like OnCrawl and verify that all those internal references have been updated. We can use you can set up a new crawl, and you can add those as a data source and actually list and upload the file of the URLs directly to OnCrawl and use that list of URLs option. Basically, what I've done is in some cases what I'll do is I will go ahead and take those once that list and of all the pages from a previous crawl that included basically the log files and as well as any files that OnCrawl found during the crawl. So basically log files, Google Analytics files, as references to those, and as well as any pages that are in the Google Search Console. So we're going to come up with a big list of URLs. We want to make sure that we have that in a separate file. So let's basically when the crawl and everything is complete and we've moved over to HTTPS, we can check it later. So let's go through a little process. The process specifically is making up a backup of your website. When you actually make a backup of the site, put it on a separate drive or put it on somewhere else. So basically you have, before you make any changes, you have all the settings. So you need, if something gets screwed up, you can actually go back and go and refresh and revert to the old version of the site from the backup. In WordPress, update your general settings. So basically, you're going to look at under settings in general. There's a WordPress address and the site address that points, to the HTTP version currently. You're going to want to update to the HTTPS version. There's a plugin called the Better Search and Replace plugin that I actually use to fairly frequently. I use it fairly frequently to do these types of migrations on WordPress sites. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to search the entire WordPress database for HTTP www.yoursite.com, and you want to actually replace that with the HTTPS, that full version, https://www.yoursite.com. So basically that will replace all the HTTP references with the HTTPS references. It's important because it's searching the entire WordPress database, not just settings or not just one area. Anywhere where the URL is referenced, you're going to want to update that to HTTPS. There is redirect code, and the redirect code, basically you're going to want to add that to the HTXS file. And if you use a content delivery network or anything such as Cloudflare, you can update the settings there. You can, to force HTTPS. There are some additional settings that you can put. If you use Cloudflare, for example, you can basically get all those settings set so that you can apply and get on the HSTS preload list for Google Chrome. So basically, if you have all your HTTPS settings right, and you could go to hstspreload.org, and that will actually make sure, and it will test your site to make sure you have all the settings correct. And if that's the case, then actually you can get on this preload list for Google Chrome, and that will actually basically tell Google and anybody using Google Chrome visiting your site that to load it on HTTPS and to force that. And which is, it's a good commitment, because if you've moved everything from HTTP to HTTPS, that'll work very well. So basically, another thing is to look at the Google Analytics settings and make sure that in the admin settings section, basically there's a place where you can put your URL. You'll want to add that to make sure it's HTTPS and not HTTP. Other areas like updating your email signatures, your social media profiles, and any other links that you control, any profiles or any other sites that you can get changed. I would spend some time trying to get those links moved over to HTTPS if you can. So basically, after you move, you want to verify all of the versions of your site. You can go ahead and do this ahead of time and verify the HTTPS:/ the www version, the non-www version of HTTP, as well as the www version of HTTP. So basically, if you look at it this way, there's 4 versions. If you include the non-www and the www of HTTP and HTTPS, you can actually have those combined, and that will you can have those 4 versions verified in Google Search Console. So you want to monitor those, because basically, if you're doing the redirect properly, what should happen is you should see a drop off of traffic in Google Search Console. From the Search Analytics area, you should see that drop off of the HTTP version, and you should see the traffic basically start visiting the HTTPS. And that's kind of a verification, just to verify that your site actually has really been moved. And if you're still seeing HTTP traffic, there's probably still an issue of the site. That's all really what you need to do for HTTP to HTTPS. I think the biggest problem that people have is they moved to HTTPS, but they have not taken the time to update all the internal links on the site, update, maybe check all the redirects, and so forth. They haven't, spent the time to do that search and replace of all of the URLs properly. That's the biggest issue I see when people are moving from HTTP to HTTPS. Thanks. This is Bill Hartzer, U.S. Brand Ambassador for OnCrawl.